friends, welcome back to the channel. It's been quite some time that we are into lockdown, and let's see that where India's strategy is going to take India, and what that we can do in the present scenario based on the previous experiences that we had for the last 2 months, and what better can be done. So let's take a look at the overall scenario. The first case in India was identified on 30th of January 2020. And then on 24th of March, lockdown was introduced. 24th of April, we find that the positivity rate of the tests that we were doing was 4.2%. Then on 8th of May, we find that the positivity rate of the tests being done to finding the new cases was 3.9, and the tests went on increasing, and that was a good thing for the country to do. And on 15th of June, we find that the positivity rate is 5.7. So we can see in the graph that the cumulative tests are going on increasing, and the total number of the confirmed cases is also increasing, but the gap is sort of widening quite far. But the good thing is that the death rate seems to be quite low. Now, if you look into let's say India versus the rest of the world, and especially the countries just in the neighborhood, we find as compare a few things that India has to do, probably has to strengthen further, is the positivity rate. We are still at a very low of 5.9 when we see the neighboring countries like Pakistan at 16.3 and Bangladesh is 17.9. We see Brazil at 54.4, USA at 8.6. Now we should look into this very seriously, because the COVID-19 ranking all over the world, India is 4th now. At one time, India was way below 20, but now India has risen to the rank of 4. And so it's just behind USA, Brazil, and Russia. But the neighboring countries that we look at, we find that even Nepal, the tests that is being done per 1 million population is 13,166, whereas what India is doing is like 4,411, which is comparatively quite low if we even compare it with Russia, Brazil, and USA. India's tests per 1 million population is almost similar to that of Pakistan and Bangladesh. So in those fronts, maybe better can be done. Now let's look about what can be done to address this. We are already into quite a dire situation. The number of cases are increasing very fast, and every day we are adding a huge number of cases into the pool of already existing cases. The hospitals are getting overwhelmed. Number of people are sort of running all over to get their treatment and tests done. So let's see what can be done. The first is identify and accept community transmission. Thus, I repeat, the government and whoever is managing this epidemic should now identify and accept community transmission. I mean, there is no point going on saying that, oh, there is no community transmission. I mean, we are not in a race against anybody to show that we are not in community transmission. So identify, again, I'm saying that, there could be many other authorities who might say that no, it is not. Well, identify and accept the community transmission if it is there, which most likely it seems like. The second, if the community transmission is there and we accept that there is a community transmission and India accepts it, then we have to change the approach and the strategy of what we are doing now for COVID-19. We have to change the approach and strategy from hospital-based approach to a community-based approach. Now let's see, what are we based approach? Now we should remember that COVID-19 is a long-drawn war. It's not that the people are going to be free of it just around the corner and just after this lockdown and everything will be beautiful and fine and there is no virus and people can start moving just like they used to do in the olden times. But we have to start living with that. But we also have seen that lockdowns appear to alienate people. Now, what happens in the lockdown is that when you lock the people down in their rooms and their houses, people start thinking that, oh, once the lockdown is open, then we can start doing everything that we used to do previously. But so actually, a lockdown doesn't allow the people to learn over a period of time. If we do not lock down and let the people actually grow along with the epidemic, they will learn even more better because now they are exposed to the risk directly. So over a period of time, and it has been the experience of other places in the world where they have not put the total lockdown, people have actually grown with the epidemic and they have started to realize the dangers and has taken the necessary measures over a period of time while working as they used to do. So let people take the responsibility of keeping themselves and others safe. And this we have seen in many countries that where the lockdown has not been implemented completely and businesses went on. So like for example, a small tea shop owner has put the stools at a far away locations. I mean, sufficiently far from each other so that the transmission doesn't take place and trying to implement all the measures that has been told to them. So this is how you learn over a time, rather than you keep people locked down and completely separated and people don't learn over a period of time what to be done. So, so now what you can do in the community-based approach. So get help and provide support to HIV, AIDS, and peer educator. There's a big network of such people. TB DOTS providers and DOT centers. There's a big network of that in the country. Malaria workers, huge number of them are present in the country. Polio campaign supporters, though polio is now eradicated, but still you have the network sort of still existing in the ground. Then corporate social responsibility of the companies. There are a huge number of companies and they have got those sections. Activate them and try to get the help from them. Community leaders and support groups like Senior Citizen Forum and many other forums, you can take the help of them and get such type of forums to work with you. Community-based volunteers. It's for various types of activities. We find community-based volunteers are there in almost every nook and corner of the country. Practically anyone who is willing to support from within the community can be a community-based worker or a volunteer. So create organizational support to the community-based volunteers and link them with the key units to provide the support quickly if and when it is needed. So you have to create sort of algorithms in which you have to put in place that to support those community workers, how you will have to actually provide your other organizational supports. So the good thing in this will be that your dependence on the hospitals will reduce, and you will have to create guidelines. You will have to create algorithms in which that can support the community-based volunteers in managing many of those symptomatic cases, or maybe the proved cases which are asymptomatic and doesn't have any sort of symptoms, to manage at the home level or the community level. They are not to be referred to the hospital and get the whole thing over with. So now the third thing is introduce random sampling and testing. Extrapolate the data, the findings to get projected caseload for planning. Determinants of transmission. This is the right time to find out about how is the transmission mechanism going on in the country. We know the science, but we should know that what is the socio-economic and other dynamics that is playing in the transmission of this infection, and how do we modulate to or change, because as we go into the community-based approach, this determinants of transmission understanding will help us a lot. And risk communities, localities for action. So this is, we have to identify the risk communities and localities. It's not the hotspot. I'm not talking about the hotspot, but this introduction of the random sampling and testing will actually tell us where this risk communities and localities. So now limit the use. So fourth is, after we do this, we have to limit the use of the drug, hospitals, and vaccination maybe in future based on high-risk criteria. We'll have to define the high-risk criteria, and we cannot actually expose the hospitals, drugs, and vaccinations in future to everybody. We have to identify factors, and these are the high-risk factors. Now, this has been identified in one of the studies that has been published in Lancet journal, and this can help many countries, including India, to to narrow down the hospital-based supports to those people who actually need it. We cannot give the hospital support to everybody. All right, so this is what I have. So see you on the flip side. Thank you.